Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Just 1 second.
Hello.
Hey. Now, Lois, for some reason, I think I'm hearing my voice coming back from you.
Let me connect my headset so you don't hear yourself. Give me a moment.
So, hello, everyone. This is crazy. I hear myself twice. I don't know if everybody else does. Let's see.
Change mode.
That's...
This should be a good one. Yep. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you. But I can
Does it
still
sound-
hear me.
You can still hear yourself. Oh my god.
I do. Everyone, welcome to Inception, as we hear ourselves about 5 times.
I have put on my headset. You are not supposed to hear yourself. That's very strange.
Okay, let's see. Is this any better? Super weird.
All right, now I can't hear you. I'll switch back. Audio output. Okay. Are you talking?
I'm not talking.
All right, cool.
So yeah, welcome everybody as we debug.
Right, I'm petrified.
I'm not convinced this is your problem, Lois, by the way. I think it's something to do with let me try this. Is this causing a problem? How about now? And now? I don't think it's coming from you. I think this is something. Sorry, everyone. Can anyone? Is everyone on the stream hearing this as well, or is this just me? Okay, it's just me. I can probably cope with it. Crazy. Okay. You just have to bear in mind that I am hearing myself in my own ears, and that is super weird. Um, so anyway, welcome everyone. It is a pleasure to have Lois here. And if you haven't, oh, Neil has an idea. Andre, good to see you. So, yes, we should mute the screen. Okay, so I'm on this a Rode mic. Yes, that is right. And when I am on my own, super weird. So I don't think it's anything to do with Lois. And you think it's Discord related. I'm just going to start my own screen capture. So we have something on the screen at the moment. And macOS being dumb, you say? Well, let's see if we can. Okay, so anyone who has ideas, no, not parallels. You tell me what to do, and we'll make this thing happen.
Okay. Yes, it was. It was for some reason it was using my AirPods as a sound input. But look, the only solution here is that I can't talk. Lois has got to be the one to make any sound. Reaper, good to see you. Welcome to this stream where we try and troubleshoot Daniel's sound problems. The like this is the correct mic, but it's not the correct. Like I still hear myself. Like all these experts are coming in and telling me very cool things. Okay, monitoring the audio input in OBS. I should be able to. Audio input, advanced audio properties. So I think this is all so you can hear it. I'm hearing my correct mic. It's coming through. And it's so not Lois. So you mustn't feel bad about that at all. Monitor off. And we're not doing this through Discord at all. So, just trying something. Yeah, it is. It's coming from the Twitch guest star, which it's never done before, but for some reason it is. It's pulling this in. Lois does need to hear it. Try this one more time. Okay, still. No. Okay, I've just refreshed the page and it seems to have fixed the issue. So if everyone else is hearing me, I think it was a weird weird thing. I think we're good to go. Lois, come back. Come back. Unmute yourself. For some reason, refreshing the page fixed the thing. Yeah, we're gonna blame anything but me. Lois, it's okay now. Unmute yourself and come back. and share your screen. Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Okay,
you. Yes, you're
right,
back. And there's no, like,
Right.
genuinely, I refreshed the browser. That is all that happened. That was the solution to this. So,
Twitch problem.
Twitch problem. So let's see.
Yeah.
You are a bit quiet, so I'm just going to make you a bit louder on my end.
Yeah.
And then I think we are good. Oh, not balance. Sorry about that. Let's see. Is that better for folk? Great. Okay, now, Lois.
Is my internet okay?
Could you share your screen again?
Oh no. Yes, I can share my screen.
Super.
Stop sharing. Hide.
Good.
Can you hear me?
I can still hear you. And here's your screen now, visible. It doesn't look vastly different from what my screen looked like because we were basically on the same page with the same browser. So there you go, everybody. We're just that's our two screens. Okay, so Lois, basically, I saw a tweet from you the other day where you were saying you were wanting to try out some framework, and someone suggested it might be Nuxt, and obviously my ears pricked up at that point. I don't think it was. But anyway, I took advantage of it to say, hey, do you want to try Nuxt out? And you did. So basically, I realize you've probably not had any or very little experience with Nuxt, and you thought you might want to try it out after I surfaced.
Yeah, go on.
No. So fire away. Like, do you have any questions to start with, or do you want to dive straight in? What? How can I help?
Yeah, so I found Nuxt is a very different system than Next.js, or like not even, I can't wrap my head around either vanilla JavaScript or Next.js, and there's vast difference between like Solid and Vue and the whole ecosystem. When I look at the documentation, I feel like it's expecting me to know have some basics in Vue before I read Nuxt.
That's probably a little bit true. But I'm here to help with that. So, should we just dive in, or at least start something so we can start looking at it?
Sure.
Okay. So let's see. What should we do? Yeah. If you want to go to the to your terminal, and maybe we could create a new.
Yeah. Or would you like a ready-made, very shitty Vue app I was writing about in the morning?
Cool. Okay. So is that a Nuxt app or just a non-Nuxt Vue app?
It's a Nuxt app.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So you're up and running. Great. Okay. So yeah. Show me around.
Yeah, so we had our design. Should I show the design? It was a medical app for French medical students. It looks like this.
Cool.
And then I got confused with layout. The layout looks absolutely different. Where is the app entry? Can I make a custom layout and have a slot and slot it in like Astro, React?
Yeah. So app.view is your default page. That's what gets rendered when you open your app.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a layout, then we have a custom layout component there, and it takes a slot. So in this case, you would do Nuxt layout, and then instead of making it self-closing like that, just do Nuxt layout.
Yeah.
And then so just drop the slash, and then in between put something called Nuxt page, and that's going to render the page inside the layout. And it's going to pull in
like this.
Exactly, perfect. So if you open that in your browser. Is
this the correct practice? Because,
in the layout, you just do instead of Nuxt page, do slot.
Yeah.
because a layout can be used for anything. It doesn't have to be integrated with the routing system in Nuxt. So you can just, yeah, perfect. That's great. Now, if you just have one layout,
Cool.
then you might as well just write it in
Yeah.
app.view. But if you have multiple layouts, then it makes sense to have like different layouts.
So let's do empty and run dev.
Ooh,
Like this.
yeah. Is that looking like what you want it to look like?
Not exactly. Because look at this.
Yeah. But I mean, like from the Nuxt point
Because
of view,
I define, yeah. Yeah, go on.
because I mean, there'll be other things, right? Like there'll be CSS and how that works. That's just the fact that you're just developing this from scratch. But
I thought, in my impression, I thought if I put a BG background at here, it will wrap the whole app and
It
make
should.
it background black. And
okay,
it
well,
didn't. Oh,
let's have a look in app.view then.
I'm pretty sure that's a CSS problem because there are lots of absolute and relative values there.
Yeah, that would probably be right. Esteban, good to see you. And
Yeah.
Damien and Mate and Kfishy. Jason, I've not said hello to people properly. Sorry if I get distracted. It's nice to see you. And welcome. I'm glad you're joining. So we are diving into Nuxt. Actually, we're diving in deeper than I was expecting because Lois already has a whole project here up and running. Shreya, good to see you. So we are...
Hi, Shreyas.
Hey, thank you. That's very kind. So we are... oh, by the way, I'm wearing this very brightly colored shirt because I'm doing a cancer research challenge for April, which involves me doing 100 push-ups a day, which is a lot of push-ups. So I'm 80 push-ups in so far today. So I'm, fingers crossed, I'm going to get that by the end of the day. But sorry, Lois, yes, you're saying. So we basically have, you have your app up and running. So like, tell me, then what are some questions? Like, what are some differences you spot from like your normal Nuxt.js setup that you might be used to using?
Say if we make a layout just for container, right? Container.view in the layout folder, right? And then we do a template. And all I need is a div that's a container, and I want a MX auto. That's it. But how well I use it how does the components know this is there's something's going on in between here, and slot things in?
So you can do that with a custom Nuxt layout. So if you have a look at how you've used it in your app.view file, basically whatever is in between, whatever is in there goes into the slot of the layout. So in this particular case, that's going to be the page. So if you write your container and put another slot in there, and hey, Jan Niklas, good to see you. And Mate, if I'm cheating in some way, you tell me. Do I need to do these like in a row? I could give that a go. So basically in your second layout there, if we try it, I think it's just 100 a day. That's what I was going for. But I'm willing to make it more difficult. But I'll tell you, that would be considerably more difficult. So if you go into container and just set up the a layout so it's just a little bit different, and I'll show you how you can toggle it per page.
So
you can just say something like, "Hi, it's another layout," you know. And don't put Nuxt page, just put a slot. Like that's what you're going to.
Capitalized or?
No, it doesn't. No. I think not capitalized. Cool. And then what you're going to want to do is, if you go into one of your pages, like your index page or your quiz page, you can set the layout on a page basis. So you can set the layout in a couple of different ways. So one is in the layout. So if you type outside of the template, if you type script setup, like you create a script block. Exactly. And then say inside the define page meta, you can pass an object into define page meta. So just type define page meta. It's define, then caps page,
Define
and then caps
page
meta.
meta.
That's the one. It's a function, so you call it, and you pass in this case, we're going to pass in layout. So it's going to have a property called layout. And if you start typing layout, it should autocomplete. You should be able to type container.
Oh.
So that is now going to make this page in a container. You can delete the title and description, by the way. I'm not that those don't do anything. You can pass anything in the page meta. So now this page will have the container layout. So there's also some other things, other ways of setting a layout. You might need to refresh the page in your browser just to pull up the...
Let's see. Oh.
So there you go, it's a different layout now.
Yeah. Right, this should look better. Yep. So I suppose I can also use it at a component level, or do I have to use it at the page level?
You can use it at any level. So basically, when you're using that Nuxt layout component, it will be able to do. It will basically behave just like that layout. So you could, for example, even use it inside your page here. So if you have your hero, and now you can add, say, like a div and stick Nuxt layout inside of it, and specify the layout. So in that case, you do Nuxt layout. Now, one thing is that your page needs to have a single root div, a single root element. So now that we're adding a second one here, we'll need to add like a wrapper that's around the two of those. But exactly, just as you've done here, you can do Nuxt layout name is container. Now in this case, you omit the colon because right now it's looking for a variable named container. Whereas if you make it like that, then it's just a string called container, which is perfect. And so now you can
do this.
You could do that. Now this will actually create two containers on top of each other, because one is the container in app.view, and the other is now this extra layout inside the page. So this is just an example to show you how you would be able to, if you wanted to do that, you could disable the parent one by setting layout false in define page meta, and then it wouldn't apply a layout at the parent level, and it would just do one in the child. But I feel like we might be making it too complex. But this is something that you could do. Like, this is possible.
I see. So each folder's name here has its own meaning to define things.
Exactly.
So basically, if I want to write components, they're all here. If any routes in the page, so this is going to be a home page, and then I will have another page called quiz.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Exactly. Perfect.
I see.
So those automatically turn into routes in your app. And the same is true with your API routes as well, which is, hey, Pablo. Pablo thinks I should be working on SvelteKit now. Is that the idea? I posted yesterday I was taking a break from Nuxt. But that break was like 5 minutes. The break was a cup of tea, pretty much, as far as I was concerned. But I do apologize if I gave anybody a heart attack. Yeah, not aiming to give anyone a heart attack. Sorry about that. That's why, like, I could have
broke the whole.
So remember, I said it should have a single root element. This page, if you basically, so right now,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
now if you put that back and say layout false, that's going to say that it shouldn't add like a root-based layout. And now you're just adding a layout here within your page. But again, that layout is just going to be an empty div right now because there's nothing in it.
Yeah. So ideally, if I want to write it fast, I can just start to slot in the HTML in here and CSS.
I mean, honestly, I would probably use the page-based layouting system, if you want. I tend, if you're wanting to do like a custom layout, you don't have to make it a layout. You can also just make it a component and then use it just like a normal component. That would also work quite well if you're wanting to use like bits of layout inside of your page. So I would that's probably what I would reach to first. But I mean, it's quite flexible. So it's however you want to build it. But I tend to use layouts. I actually tend to use layouts quite seldom. I tend to, if you're asking just my personal preference, I tend to put global stuff in app.view and then just use components in my pages. But if you prefer like the idea of having a page-based routing system, or Yetznenal says, if you want to, you can also use them with arrow.view, which is quite good. So to render errors in a Nuxt app, you have this app.view, and that renders your non-error pages. And it's sort of parallel to an arrow.view. So you can create an arrow.view page that will render like global errors for your app. And Nuxt ships with an error page by default, which is like a sort of black-green gradient page. But you can create your own error page just by creating an arrow.view, and then that takes over from Nuxt's error page if you don't want it to look like that.
Beautiful. Yeah, all the things, everything Nuxt designed, like Nuxt module or documentation, they look absolutely pretty.
That's really nice of you to say.
Fabulously pretty.
There's some really, really very talented people, and working. So I think all of that design is done by the Nuxt Labs team. So they've done some amazing designs and contributed them, which is great.
Nice. So if we move, in theory, would I be able to move this container view components directly into the component folder?
Yeah. And it will just, exactly. So that would, if you just move the container into there, it would work fine. Arrow.view doesn't support defined page meta. Because arrow.view isn't a page. Sorry, I'm answering Mate's question. Defined page meta doesn't support defined page meta because it's not a page. Arrow.view is more like a global thing, like app.view, which is used for rendering an error page on any route. So it doesn't support defined page meta in the same way. Sorry, Lois.
Interesting.
Did I interrupt?
No worries. I'd love to hear you answering people questions so I can learn as well. I might not have thought about asking it. So if we drop this in, move this here.
Yeah.
And now, if we want to use it, we won't be able to use it as a Nuxt layout, right? So we just use it as a container.
Yeah.
Like
and I would tend to advise like multi-word name, so there's no danger of it like being overriding like an HTML element, but that should work. And if you stick something in there like the hero, it should work as you expect.
Cool.
Shreyas, yes, we have nested routing in Nuxt. So you can have like a parent page, and then it can have child pages, and you can render both of them in the same view. And if Lois wants to, we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. So basically, I think the way you implement nested routing in Nuxt is that you have a page with the same name as a folder. So like what do you have an example on your website of where you would need a nested route?
I can't think of any examples.
So I could just tell you like how to do it in like another situation, like because it doesn't have to match your design. We can just put some dummy text in it. So if you did something like blog, so if you create a page called blog, and then you create a directory called blog, and then maybe you give it a child like index.view. Great. And that page can just have like some random content. Andre, hello, nice to see you. Yes, no one knows that, I'm going to take another rest from Nuxt, later today, probably. I'm going to even take a whole 5 minutes or something like that. So right now,
go to the blog page.
Yeah, exactly. Yay. Okay, we've got a blog index page. So Dosper, good to see you. Yeah. So now what we need to do is if you create blog.view, like parallel to the blog folder, not inside it, but yeah, if you just create it and then you can drag it out of it, yeah. And then you put something in this one.
And blog parallel page.
Exactly. If you go back to your browser, it's now only going to have the blog parallel page right now. Maybe refresh. Okay, so it just has that. But we want to have it be a nested page. So if you go back, all you need to do to make this a nested page is you add another Nuxt page somewhere there. Wherever you want the child bit, the nested bit to display, you add inside that template block, maybe after blog parallel page, you add another Nuxt page child. You don't need to add another file. I'm sorry, you don't need to add a file, but just in the template block of blog.view, you add another element called Nuxt page somewhere there.
Like
Perfect,
this.
exactly. There you go. The reason why blog.view has to be... So now that Nuxt page is going to render the child. And so the child of that is now anything in that blog folder. So if you... the index will then be the root. And you could also have like further roots down. And that's how you would create a nested root like that. The reason we do it this way...
That is so interesting. Yeah.
Is that maybe you don't want to do this. And so if you don't want to do this, then rather than creating blog.view, you could just have that index.view in the blog folder. And it's going to render the same root, but it's not going to have the nested routing thing. So, but this way is a way you can just, but it's a convention. So like you have that .view folder, the .view file with the same name as the folder. And that creates this nested thing. Now, if you want to see what's really going on, if you go into your browser and open your View DevTools, now that's the little view icon at the bottom, and you click that button. And then if you go to the routing, I always do Command K, and that helps me go around. If you try the Command K and then type like pages, yeah, that's right. Sorry, it was a page. It was on the list, but yeah, pages, that one. It's going to show the different routes of your app, and so you can actually navigate to and from them by clicking them, if you want. But it shows how this blog is actually rendering two routes on the same page, which is quite a handy thing.
Yeah, and now if people really want, they don't need to think about layout. They can just stack the layout in the blog.view, and then what they need inside, stack it into index page.
Yeah,
and
that would totally be a
components
valid...
put into components.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. What's the other question I wanted to ask?
Or any question from anyone on the chat as well. Feel free to fire stuff away.
I want to ask about transitions, transition group, and they have some magic attributes like at enter, at before dash enter, those type of things. It gets very confusing. Does people actually use them?
Yeah, so people do use transitions, and so there are routing-based transitions that Nuxt integrates, which basically use the view transitions under the hood. So you can define transition properties on a page-based level using define page meta. So if you were to open up like your blog.view file again, or any page, blog.view is a good because then it will apply to all the blog pages and their children. Or you could do it on index.view. But typically, I would advise you do transitions on a global level, so you don't play too much with the configuration on a per page basis, but you customize what the transition looks and feels like using CSS on a per page basis. By the way, I'm also going to answer some of these other questions I've seen popping up in chat. So if you ask a question, don't worry, we'll get back to it. But so you can define like the global defaults for your app in your Nuxt config. So if you go into your Nuxt config and add a property called app. Perfect. And then it should have, there's page transition and layout transition as properties under that. So you can do page transition, and page transition will then have be an object. You can just do true or false, but you can also pass specific values under there. And so if you like do auto completion, like command space or control space, then it should give you some type help for it. But basically, those are all of the, or maybe not, those are all of the values that will be accepted by Vue when you if you had a custom transition element. You can do things like set a name, like a mode is valid. That's also a prop you can pass. And that will then define your default transition. Now, this won't actually do anything because you still have to write the CSS for it. All this will do is basically apply the class when the transition is active. So you still have to write the CSS that's going to like apply an animation. But the good news is there's some good documentation on Vue.js.org. So if you go to Vue.js.org and open like the transition component, you can copy some example CSS that will get you to do that will make this work in the way that you want it to do exactly. So you can see there we've got there's an example. There's sort of enter from, like leave to. There's a particular syntax for how to write the CSS that will apply to different stages of that transition, both when you're going into and going out of a page. So in this case, this transition is called V, the one you're looking at in the docs.
Yeah.
But you called it fade. So yours would be called like fade leave to and fade leave active or whatever. So, but that's the kind of thing that you would add. So you could copy that and paste it in like your app.view, and then you would automatically get that on all of your page transitions. I would very much hope.
Ooh, interesting.
So create a style block.
So we do a style, and then like this.
Yeah.
And then we might need something like
we still need
hero. Let's go to hero. Okay. We still need a button to go somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. And we also need to go
block.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Except rather than we're going to use the Nuxt link component. So if you change that from A to Nuxt link, it will render an A, but it will do the link on the client side rather than do a hard reload for the new page.
Let's find out if that's just render.
I think we still might need to go back and change the CSS, though. I think in app.view, in app.view, I think we just pasted the CSS. I think we need to change it from V to enter or whatever to fade, like dot. Change the .v to .fade. So Nuxt Link supports both to and href interchangeably.
Let me see. So view, was it Nuxt config? Okay. We can do a v.
Oh, I guess, yeah, we can.
Yeah. And
okay, so
horrible CSS problem. So where is my block?
in order to, you can also is it a white link. You can also use the Nuxt DevTools to navigate back and forth, right? So like if you open the DevTools and click the page there, it will navigate, and that is a way of avoiding the thing. By the way, just very quickly answering some questions. Yes, you can do client-only routing. You can also do client-only pages and server-only pages by adding a .client.view and a .server.view suffix. That's for Shreyas, who asked that question. Marano, no mention of forms. So the reason that there isn't is that it is a fundamental web feature. So we're not adding any particular or special handling on top of it. You would just add the normal kind of handling that you would normally want to do with forms. There are a couple of projects that aim to implement form actions in Nuxt. And so that works. If that's what you like, you can use it. And there's some people have asked, like, should we add this to Nuxt itself? At the moment, we're waiting for feedback from the community to know whether we want to add form actions to the framework itself. But right now, you can do it. It's just you would use a module to do that on your end. And Kfishy is absolutely on top of this and has like answered like loads of questions correctly, like from my point of view. Sorry. Colonoscopy. What's going on? Is there? Have I just completely missed the point of the website? What is on the website? Is there a colonoscopy? Okay, so
on phone module. Thank you, Kfish.
Yes, Kfishy. Rock on.
Amazing.
Fishy.
Nice. So how does an usual process of people want to contribute to any Nuxt modules and
the process if you want to contribute to, or if you want to use one?
Contribute to. Say, do I just open a PR directly, or do I open the issue, discuss it, see if anyone already doing it, and then I go on to do the work and do the PR?
So for Nuxt, if it's a bug fix, feel free to open a PR directly. If it's going to take longer, it is helpful to open an issue and just say, hey, I'm aware of this and I'm working on a bug fix. For enhancements like changing, adding new features, definitely open an issue. My aim is not to block you. So like if you have an idea and you want to do something, the issue is just so we can, just to avoid wasting your time, because sometimes we tried to implement it before, it didn't work, and there's a reason we don't have it. But it's not to keep you blocked. Always feel free to open a PR, but it is sometimes helpful to have an issue as well to track.
Someone asked, how can I implement singleton refresh?
What do you mean by singleton refresh? Oh, I see.
Wonder.
There's a how can you handle refreshing token process in on-response error if you have multiple requests going on at one time? So like that's very tied into your implementation, like how your authentication is set up. Are there docs about navigating the Nuxt code base? So there is a contribution guide, but it doesn't tell a huge amount in terms of how to navigate the code base. It gives some broad top level things. So Lois, if you were to search, for example, on Nuxt.com with Command K and search for contribution, it'll fire you up to a contribution guide. And you could, I think one of there's like a framework contribution. Yeah, it's on the left. So you can see contribution and there's also framework. Ooh, that's an interesting idea, Fishy. Adding layouts and root rules. I think that's a great idea. We already added support for Nuxt middleware in root rules, and I think layouts, you could totally do that as well. So I think, yeah, raise an issue, and also if you want to contribute, like, don't feel like you have to figure it all out on your own. Feel free to message me on Discord. I will help. I'll point you in the direction in maybe more detail than I can easily in a Twitch stream. But I'm very happy to sort of point you in the right direction. And also, if anyone ever wants, I do have a calendar where people can book 10-minute slots to talk about anything, whether that's contributing to Nuxt or contributing to another open source project or whatever. So feel free to do that. That's on my website, which is just row.dev. But sorry, I feel like I'm neglecting you, Lois. So where were we with that transition?
We were in a transition. It's looking amazing right now.
Is it working?
So if we go to quiz.
Oh, yeah.
It's working.
Cool. Yeah. Great. Okay. So that's
amazing.
So then you can basically write custom CSS in each page that, or globally, I tend to think globally is better, to basically handle like what should happen. And Nuxt also supports the View Transitions API. In fact, we were one of the first to do that. So you can enable that. It's currently not enabled by default because the View Transitions API by default adds a fade transition for every change. And that might not be what somebody wants in their app. But you can enable experiment in the Nuxt options, experimental view transitions, and that will enable the View Transitions API.
It's experimental.
Yeah, and that's an object, and then it has like view transitions, and just set that to true. So that will then add. Now you may have an issue, in the docs. Maybe actually even if you hover over that, it will tell you that basically view transitions is like a separate thing from the Vue frameworks transition API, and you might want to disable like the Vue. This is so awkward to talk about. Like the Vue VUE transitions when the Vue transitions VIEW are going, and so actually I provide a. It's so awkward to talk about. But if you hover over the option, or if you look in the Nuxt docs, there's a snippet where you can paste some code that will easily allow you to disable the one set of transitions if the other one is enabled. So you don't get like two transitions happening at the same time. I would, by the way, absolutely love help in improving the docs, Genga. Absolutely, that would be amazing. Like, please don't underrate the importance of docs contributions. Like, this is one of the most important things we can possibly have. So yeah, I would love that. And yes, it would be very funny to go to my website and find that it was made with Next. I like Next. Next is a great framework, by the way, and I've used it as well. But no, my website's built in Nuxt.
Amazing.
And yes, Creative Null is very pleased to see us both here, Lois. So
yeah. Funny enough, I met Daniel last year in City.js in London, and now Daniel is coming to London again.
Yeah. I am coming in 2 days on Thursday, so it's going to be
amazing.
Lots of fun.
Yeah. I also want to ask about composables and components.
Composables and components, fire away.
What are the difference?
Okay, composables.
What's the difference?
Composables are functions, and components are would be so you would use a composable in a script block, and a component you would use in a template block. So a composable would be either they can be the ones that are built in that you're looking at there, which if you're coming from a React background, They're not the same, but they're similar to like a hook in a React context. And if you were, components, largely speaking, would be the same. And they're both auto-imported, so you don't have to manually import components or manually import composables. But yes, they would have different uses. So to add a composable in your well, you've already used define page meta, for example. It was there, you didn't have to import it, but you could create your own. So if you want to go into your project, we could create an app for you.
Yeah. Maybe let's do block, not having anything risky going on and break everything with CSS.
Okay, so if you create a composables folder in your project, so alongside your
top level
yeah
folder. So let's do. Should it be composables? Oh.
and just create a file in there. It doesn't matter what the file is called, but you could call it like helpers or something.
Like this?
Perfect. And then you can just you can export some stuff from the file, and everything that you export from this file will be auto-imported anywhere in your project that you want to use it. So you could do like export function use foo or something like that.
Like this?
Perfect. Thank you, Adam. That's very kind. And you could then go and use foo in your blog page and just check that it works.
I can't even type anything. All right, I was just about to type very nice of Daniel to actually teach me about Nuxt. Okay, let's do. Can we do a page level? Is it possible?
Yeah.
So.
Just in a script, yeah, absolutely. Script setup, and just like const thing equals use foo.
And I can const something useful.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't seem to be recognizing that. Let's see, why isn't that recognizing it? Can we just check?
Export default function. Does it have to be default?
No, it should be a named one. Is your dev server still running? So just export function use foo.
Manifest route middleware already exist.
Yeah, just let's try restarting your dev server just in case, and change it back to export function use foo.
Thanks.
Well, this seems like something we should fix.
Okay.
And great, and go back to your index.view and see, is it super weird. Sometimes sometimes VS Code does some weirdness. Try just not great, but try restarting VS Code. Just
should I restart?
If you just do like Command P and then like do reload VS Code, it should just reload the window for you. Oh, you've physically restarted it, so you might need to restart the dev server again as well. But it looks like it might be working. Let's see. I think it was just the VS Code had to be restarted, I think. All those people, Shreyas and Milos and Fishy and Neil, like everyone is saying that, yeah, restart VS Code. That's the thing.
Great. So if I do a console log, one thing I found out was like when I console logging something, sometimes I can't find it on anywhere.
Anywhere?
I can't find it on like say, for example, my terminal, or I go back here, I can't find it here either.
In your browser DevTools. I can't... Oh.
Which is weird.
So what page are you on now?
I'm on quiz. I should...
Okay. And... Okay.
Oh,
And...
it's here. It's coming back. Great. So that fixed.
Jan Nicholas, by the way, is in the chat and is JetBrains star. He's yeah. Ask him all about JetBrains.
You want me to use? You want me to do NeoBeam? I can do NeoBeam. Let's do NeoByte. No, I'm not going to do it. The highlighting and formatting on my NeoBeam config is horrible for Vue right now. So I'm just staying away from NeoBeam for Vue at the moment.
Okay.
Another thing, how would you... I think I saw something about middleware. I haven't implemented anything related to middleware. API guides, key concepts, directory structure.
So you create a middleware folder and then you put a file in there. And if you want it to run on every... So middleware runs on when you change a route. So whenever you visit a page, either whether that's the initial load or like on subsequent navigation. So you can either create middleware that's global and runs on every route, or you can create what's called named middleware that you specifically opt into for a particular route.
After creating it, I don't need to do any extra configuration on like global config or...
Nope, just
anywhere?
the folder.
No. Amazing. It's quite amazing that everything is built in, prescribe it, and like the whole ecosystem is like very content and is very well rounded. Either you want to do markdown, layouts, like these are essential things you need. View on using GSEPs. I actually want to ask that.
You want to ask Vue and... Oh, GSEP is great. And you can... There's a module to integrate it with Nuxt and make it easier. But yeah, GSEP is great. And the people there are really nice as well.
Nuxt, Mojo, GSEP. This one?
Hey, Larry, good to
Since
see you.
Nuxt migrates to the latest.
How are you here for the first time? How if like what is that? That's
I have never met Larry in person, but my impression is always Larry's a very great guy.
That's my impression as well. Like honestly, the amount of help that he provides on the Nuxt Discord is really impressive and really appreciated. I am super
Enter. Nicholas Wortman, totally agree. Need to try to...
I'm very much looking forward to the new TS engine in WebStorm.
The module, when you talk about Nuxt GSEP module, are you talking about this one? Or
I'm talking about probably the one in the bottom paragraph that supports Nuxt 3. Then at the end of the notice, if you go up to the top,
yeah,
you see it has
see. Nuxt.js.
So if
Amazing. Oh. Finally something looks like React. I think amazing. I love this. Thank you so much.
Fishy, what are you talking about? What blog post? Are you talking about the WebStorm blog post? Oh, the vision for 2024.
Someone in my server asked about WebSocket with Nuxt. So Nestor, he works in the IoT company, and the thing he usually do is he will stack 5,000 data points in 1 second through to Next.js app, and it often breaks with TRPC, and so he's actively looking for solutions in WebSocket that doesn't break.
So WebSocket support is built into Nuxt, into Nitro. So you can basically like create a WebSocket in your server routes in Nuxt, and you can consume it on the front.
Server routes.
Yeah. So one thing we haven't covered, of course, is the fact that Nuxt is a full stack framework, so you can create server routes and use them sort of straight away. So if you create a server folder, like a server API folder, and stick some things in there, it will become server routes in your app that you can consume from your front end.
Server already exists. Where is it? Oh yeah, see, nothing in here. What should I do for server route? Let's try something. Fetch hello. Yeah, let's do a simple API hello. And is there naming conventions I should be remembering for components or servers?
So these will work a lot like the pages directory. So API test will become a route called /API/test. You can also have a dot suffix for the method. So you can do like dot post or dot get. This uses H3 under the hood. That's right. And obviously Nitro. Middleware will run on every request, but I would avoid using it. It's better to have like checks that are scoped to the individual endpoint.
API method. K Fishy, are you pointing me towards this? This is an old website.
Yeah. So
quick question, Daniel. Does Nuxt prefetch links?
It does prefetch links. Yeah. It prefetches links. So it will prefetch the link. It won't enforce any kind of authentication to prefetch the links. But what it's doing when it prefetches the links is it prefetches the JavaScript required to render the page. It doesn't actually render the page or anything like that. So the middleware will still apply before navigating to it.
So the route params works similar to how Next.js ones, I guess. So you can have dynamic params passing in. Utils handlers define and handler.
So if you switch to your project, let's directly.
Yeah.
Give it a try. So basically, you can say export default define event handler. Yep, that's the one.
Autocomplete?
Yeah, it takes a parameter with function, async function. You can just do an arrow function there, and then it's going to take a single event as an argument, and then it can just return some data directly. So you could do like return foo true or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Now, if you go into your app, you can grab.
This is passing an event?
Yeah, and you don't need to type it. It will be typed for you. There you go.
Ooh.
So you can do some
Built-in
stuff with
route props.
So you can return response objects, but you'll lose the auto inferred type for it. But you should be able to just directly return data if you just want it to be returned as JSON. You can also directly return streams and stuff like that.
And then we go to... Which one do we want to do? Let's do something that doesn't break. All right, cool. And then...
Yes, Shreyas, you can directly return custom streaming response. That works just fine. There's an example on the Vercel AI repo with a Nuxt project, which basically does that. So you can check that out if that would be helpful.
Oh, it's typed?
It's
typed?
It's typed. It's typed. It's typed.
It's typed with files.
Not just that, but if you hover over the data, the response is typed as well.
Yes.
So in this case, I think it's just a string, but you can also, like if you're returning a more complex object, it will be typed more complexly. So like if you had, yeah.
Let's try something more complex. What do we do?
Like
Shreyas, what do
return
we
an
do
object.
to try something more complex?
Joaquin, good to see you.
Great. Now we have this.
And when you're using useFetch, useFetch returns some things. So in this case, you would destructure data. And it also has like a pending and status and error objects. But yeah, if you destructure it. Afternoon, Winter.
Data.
Yeah.
Pending.
Yeah.
Error.
And there's some other stuff as well. Like you can have a manual refresh function if you want to refresh the data. And so pending and data, these are going to be refs. So you'll access them with dot value. Yeah.
Ow.
I'm not sure what you're doing there, but like, yeah, what you would do is, so right now, you probably don't want to use them straight away because the data will be null to start with, and then it will update when it's, so you probably use them in the template, or you would await useFetch. So you could await useFetch and that will wait for the data to come. But it's generally better not to await it directly, but to render a loading state in between. But just for the sake of it, you could do like await useFetch there.
Global async in your script.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
The script setup here is actually a setup function that runs when this is first initialized, this page. So it's not ambient.
Yeah.
It is still bound to the instance. Yes, you can do top level await in script setup, and it will automatically make it suspended and then handle the loading state for you. So in this case, you could display that in your template. You could just for the sake of debugging it.
Like, for example, like this. Like, data.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we go to block. Oh, I see. And then is this typed? It's typed! Oh my god. Amazing. This is fantastic. I'm drooling behind the screen, just so you guys know.
I'm so glad. This is always so much fun.
Because in a lot of other projects, no matter how hard you do, when you do, you rely on lots of tools to make yourself type safe, and you use a lot of tools to do autocomplete. But if a framework auto comes with it, that's like a Golang experience. I hope that when the project gets bigger, the TS server doesn't break that much. Or we just default. Either we hope for NeoVim has better view support in LSPs, or we wait for JetBrains TS server.
Mate is right. So yes, lazy false. So if you only want to load data on that client, you can set server false, and lazy true will basically not block client-side routing. It's the same thing as not awaiting a useFetch, pretty much. And I would always do that, because you always want a really, really quick initial response to the user doing anything. So like if you click something, you might find that you don't experience any delay if you await it, but your user might, because they might be further away from your server. So always, if you can, have a skeleton loader, have some kind of loader, show them that something is happening. So it's better to do that than to await the data fetching. Nuxt will, by the way, if you statically render your site, it will preload all the data when a link to that page is on the screen. So you can actually, it actually will hopefully take it down to nil. So I would don't await useFetch and set lazy true. So you can actually use lazy fetch, and I think that is a very, very good pattern and practice. And Shreyas, I'm glad you're enjoying this. Brilliant.
Use lazy fetch. Nice. What's the other thing? Oh yeah. So what if sometimes people want to do some very old school thing, like document select get query selector, or like Windows scroll Y, you want to get the position of your scroll bar?
So you can do that, but in general, it's better to avoid doing things that rely on window, because this code will also run in a server environment. So you need to check that you're only doing that when you are on the client side. So Vue uses a great library. People are recommending like Woof, and yes, you can add as an escape hatch from the normal declarative style rendering that we have here. You can also set a ref on an element that lets you then use it later, like use the DOM node later. So if you did like div ref equals like wrapper or something like that. And then what you would do is in your script setup, do const wrapper equals ref. And then like that's a function, so just ref with like brackets. And that will then turn into, not immediately, so you can't access it right away, but after the component is mounted, that will then be like an HTML element. It will be a div. So what you can do is you can type it properly. If you pass, so ref does need the parentheses, it does need the brackets, because it's a function you call. But you can type it if you want with some, pass a generic, which is like HTML element, and that will then be typed correctly for you. And so then basically Vue will insert the HTML element into that wrapper later. And so you could do something like, you could create a function and like do something with a wrapper. But typically don't set anything on the state. There are better ways of doing that.
Mount? Is on mount something similar to useFetch?
Yes, it will run once. Well, anything in here will only run once. But because this setup function only runs once, that's the idea. But on mounted, it will run once after the component is already attached to the DOM. So except that in this particular case, if you want to actually access the DOM element, you'll probably need to like await a tick in order to access the DOM element.
Await a tick?
You could do await next tick. And you'll need to make it an async function. And then that will, Aussie Boy, I don't know why your project is hanging after build manifest. It might be something to do with the Nitro compilation, but I couldn't say for sure. Ref is, by the way,
only
a
runs
signal.
Once.
Yeah, on mounted only runs once, and also anything in the script setup block only runs once. So it doesn't rerun every time the component re-renders. Basically, the whatever it returns is like set forever for that particular component, and it like if another component gets mounted, then it will run again, but it won't run per render. So yes, refs in Vue are the same thing as signals, but obviously signal wasn't a popular name when Vue was using signals. Vue used signals for a very, very long time before they were called signals, and so yeah, we call them refs.
Then what if I want something keep refreshing on any action I do? Something similar to like useEffect or use state.
What do you mean? Oh, so you can have something called watch. If you call watch, you can specify what you want to watch, and then you can run something there then.
So, like this?
Yeah. And so that will run every time the data changes. But you could also watch something else. There's even a magic watch called watch effect, and watch effect will basically watch anything that's accessed in it. So you can basically do some stuff, and it will automatically smartly rerun whenever anything in there changes.
Can I do this?
No, that won't work, because that's window.scrollY isn't reactive. It's just a normal so if you wanted to do that, you would just add an event listener to the window. And you would probably do that in onMounted, because that's only running on the client. So remember, this code will run on the server as well. So in order to avoid that, you would do something like if window, and then you could run it, or like if process.meta.client, and then you can do it. you basically don't want to. So I wouldn't add an event listener in watch effect. You would do it in on mounted, like a one-time thing.
So window add event listener.
Yeah.
Scroll. Handle scroll, something like this.
Yeah. So actually we could do that if because you're doing the if window check, we can move that out into script setup, and basically you also want to clean it up.
Yeah.
So you would then add an on unmounted, you know, and then you would unsubscribe like window remove event listener.
There's on unmounted. Oh, I see. So how would you do a cleanup on this one?
So well, that would do it. Yeah, that would do it. You don't need to do the if window test in on mounted and unmounted, because those will only run on the client side. That will only run in on a window. So you can just directly do that. Also, handle scroll isn't defined, so it won't work yet, but and you probably would want to add that with a passive true or something like that, I would suggest.
I'm just gonna Google it. Oh, passive true?
So that it doesn't block the, like,
passive. Prevent, oh, you mean prevent default. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean run it with passive true. When you add the event listener, you pass a third thing, which is an object, and you pass passive true, and it improves performance, particularly with scroll.
Oh, I see. This is golden. I just made something. I was trying something yesterday. I was tracking a video's scroll position. This is a Nuxt.js app. So on every scroll, you will control the videos.
Okay.
And as you scroll back, it changes. But the performance is horrible. It tanks the browser, and my computer burns. Thank you so much.
No, not at all.
Zip true will increase. React re-render sucks. Yes. Imagine not returning a function for another function that seemed not related. View and Svelte, looking at views, Svelte components. So when Anurag said, "Oh, view use," what is that?
What is view use? So view use is a library of all. If you go to viewuse.org, you can browse them, but lots and lots of composables and utility functions that you can use in Vue and in Nuxt as well. There's a Nuxt module for it. If you want to install the module, let me show you something cool. If you go back to your the dev server, if you go into like localhost 3000 or whatever, like in the browser, back into DevTools, and open up DevTools again, and this time open up the Modules tab, which you can again get to with Command K, or you can just look for it as well. And if you add a new module, so click the Install New Module button, and you type view use, and then click it, and then click install.
Anthony! Hi, Anthony.
And that will basically
install. I
install.
absolutely love Anthony.
He's great, isn't he? I love him too.
Oh no.
That scroll Y thing, let's just have a look back and see what you're doing in that component, because it might have crept back in there.
Yeah.
So I think you might be doing it in watch effect at the very bottom. If you go back down to watch effect, so you're accessing that there. That won't work on the server, so you might just want to, if you go back to the browser now, once you save,
Yes. So what does view use do? Interesting.
You can actually see the docs in the DevTools, or you can see them on their website. But yeah, have a look at some of the functions.
Oh wow.
So view use, when it's installed, some
See-
modules add their own DevTools, and view use does as well. So if you
Yeah.
type Command K and now type view use, it will appear, or it's in the left-hand side in the 3 dots. So there you go. If you click into that, the DevTools there, they have functions that are usable.
How is this possible? On what earth genius think about this?
Well, the answer is probably Anthony. So
Use. Oh yeah. Progressive enhancement in Nuxt.
so I think progressive enhancement is in general a very good pattern, and I am in favor of it. I think you want to have sites that are progressively enhanced. Having said that, I think it is fair to expect websites to display JavaScript for most sites. But I mean, if you can, I would make a site that works without JavaScript. So it depends, I think, on your situation and your audience. But I would definitely be in favor of progressive enhancement. But I mean, there's always, it depends how much effort you're ending up. Like if you're saying, I want my site to fully work with only fresh server-side rendering on every request, it depends, I think. But I would always err on that side if I could.
Zeus then in view. Injection state. Share composable. This is fantastic. You can hand roll your auth with this.
Yeah. And there's great stuff, like if you check out Pilcrow and Paper's stuff like Lucia, and there are other auth providers as well with modules for Nuxt. Like I maintain Henko, and there's also Kind, which I also maintain, and then there's integrations for Clerk and other things too. So there's lots and lots of options for auth if you're interested in it.
Henko.
Henko with an O.
When you say Henko.
Hank O.
Henko. Hank. O, like this.
Yep.
Nuxt.
That you might use that for passkey support. It's pretty good on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
So
it's about time that we passed an hour and a half.
I think probably we do need to head on, but this has been so much fun. Just saying, by the way, to answer the question about the progressive enhancement with Nuxt UI. So that's a thing to raise with Nuxt UI. But Nuxt itself does split code by root, as long as the code that's used is only per root. But I think Nuxt UI does it on a global basis in the same way as Tailwind does things on a global basis. Like it adds CSS globally. So if you want to change it, you'll need to change it. It needs to be changed in the Nuxt UI module. And yeah. Sorry about that. Lois, it's been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you everybody else for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's been super cool. And I'll publish this on like YouTube so people can catch up if they weren't able to join it. But yeah, have fun and let me know if you've got any questions. Amazing. Or anyone wants to try and out Nuxt and hasn't and has questions, then let me know.
Cool. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Potentially see you on Thursday.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Not quite sure about my schedule Yeah, cool. Yep. See you guys. Have fun.
Yeah, see you later. We can raid somebody. Does anyone want to go raid a NeoVim developer? Tej is broadcasting at the moment. There we go. Let's do it. Okay, and yeah, we'll see everyone another time if you still want to come back. But I'd love to see you later. Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.